The Rock Metal Podcast, episode 257 with Soilwork.
Soilwork.
Rock and roll. Yep, sweet. Rock Metal Nation, what is up? This is John from the Rock Metal Podcast. As Amply just heard was Arrival by Soilwork. I've got on the show with me right now. They've got a new album called Verkligheten, which means reality in English, set to release via Nuclear Blast Records on January 11th. Right now I'm being joined by Bjorn Speed Strid to share some stories about the music, share more info about the band. So Bjorn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely, great to have you on. Let's go listen back to that track, Arrival.
Arrival.
Sunrise, my soul, imminent threat.
right, coming back from Arrival, first single off of the album, definitely some classic Soilwork killer track. I'm curious, what's the story or inspiration behind Arrival?
Ooh, behind Arrival. I mean, it was one of those songs I think we came up with at a pretty early stage. It's actually David who wrote the song, and I mean, it's super fast. Hits you like a freight train, and there's a lot of riffing going on, and it also really showcases, Bastian's fantastic drumming on this rurecord. He's doing, both all the sort of fancy extreme stuff, but also sort of like the classic, Phil Rudd stomp as well in there. So I think this song is, I don't know, it's a good song that sort of represents the album in a very good way. So yeah, it's a killer first single, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, for Rock Nation who dug the track Arrival, be excited to know that there is a visualizer video that's available they can check out. If you go and go to today's show notes at www.therockmetalpodcast.ca, you can check it out. I'm curious, Bjorn, what went into maybe the production or the decision to do a visualizer video?
Well, that was sort of a, label decision. They came up with it, and we sort of, agreed with them, and of course, we would always like to, release videos with the songs. I think that's really the best format, to sort of back up the song. But they wanted to release the first single, and we needed to come up with something. And I think it's still turned out pretty cool. So yeah, that's usually how it goes. We sort of are in touch with the label. So
yeah, absolutely. Let's go listen to the next track, Full Moon Shoals.
Film and Shoals.
Slowly rising from the murky waters, I reach for the tenebrous
right, coming back from Full Moon Shoals, which is the second single off of the album, and I would say this is a new take on Soilwork. It's definitely maybe more melancholic, maybe more dynamic. Super cool, and super cool ending. How it's supposed to. It seems like it's going to explode, but it just calms right down. It's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely takes you on a journey. There's that, break in the middle that you don't really expect, sort of like classic sort of thrash, and coming in. But it's like you said, it's super melancholic, especially with the melodies going on. And I think you can definitely, recognize Soilwork while listening to the song. But there's, of course, some unexpected elements as well. And I wrote that song, and it just really came to me. I wrote it in like 2 hours, and really proud of that song. It's probably one of the best songs I've written, if I may say so myself. I'm really proud of it.
Yeah,
good one.
There's some dust on your shoulder. You might want to brush that off.
Yeah, exactly.
And a similar question: what's the story or inspiration behind Full Moon Shoals?
Full Moon Shoals. I mean, lyrically, for me, it's about sort of being the captain of your own thoughts and not sort of let yourself drown. And that's sort of what shoals represent. It seems like if there is a puddle, you're going to make sure you drown in it because you're so full of your own thoughts. So it's about having some distance to things and also sort of find acceptance to certain things, that sort of not engage yourself in each and every thought and sort of just recognize them and put them on the shelf and let them stay there. So that's sort of what the lyric represents.
Yeah, trying to keep it all balanced.
Yes.
Wow, fantastic. Now, for Rock Nation who dug the track Full Moon Shoals, will be excited that there is a music video they can check out. If you go into today's show notes at www.therockmetalpodcast.ca, you can check it out. Super cool. We got a cello chick in there. Speaking of Bastion, there's a clean-cut, handsome young fellow on the drums. We get to see in the music video. So, similar question: what's the production or decisions behind the music video?
Well, we want it because this new album is very much like a metal soundtrack to like Swedish suburban anxiety. I know that sounds very exciting.
I know, IKEA is tough.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. No, but it's also sort of inspired by there was a lot of sort of shows, like TV shows in the late 80s and early 90s that showcased like suburban Swedish anxiety with sort of like a gray filter. And there's this, to us, almost like a soundtrack to that, like a metal soundtrack to it. And we wanted to sort of portray that a little bit in the video. So we actually recorded very close to where I live, like just a few blocks down the road. And we wanted to capture that sort of suburban feel and also in black and white. And I think it really fits in the end. Yeah,
it was even your car that was in there, right?
No, I don't even have a driver's license, so it couldn't possibly be my car.
Oh,
no.
Shucks. All right, now shucks. For Rock Metal Nation who dug the two tracks Arrival and Full Moon Shoals, I'll be super excited to know that there is a full album coming out on January 11th via Nuclear Blast Records, which we've touched base on quite a bit, called, and I looked this up so I could say it right. Maybe I'm saying it right. Verkligheten.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, thank you.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Which means reality. Now, you mentioned, obviously, we've got Bastion on the drums. I read that it was a slightly different writing process for the album. So I'm just curious, when we pick it up, what should we expect?
Well, we're really proud of the album, and I think, people will definitely recognize the sound of Soilwork. I think we pretty much picked up where we left with The Ride Majestic, and I also think that we found a new expression through the experiment that The Living Infinite, the double album, was. You know? And I think we continued on a new path there. But you can definitely recognize Soilwork, and very dynamic album, packed with melodies and some really extreme stuff in there. Possibly the most extreme stuff that we've ever recorded. So, it is very hard to explain exactly what you're gonna, sort of expect. But somewhere around there, I would say.
Cool. All right, now the next logical question on Rock Metal Nation's mind, if they don't know, is where should they go on the web to stay up to date with everything Soilwork?
I would say Instagram and our official Facebook. We try to keep it very sort of frequently updated. So that would be the place to go.
Cool. All right, well, Bjorn, unless there's anything else you wanted to throw out there, I just wanted to thank you for taking time out of your day to come on to the Rock Metal Podcast and sharing Soilwork with Rock Metal Nation.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Nation. Hope you just found your new favorite band in Soilwork. Big thanks again to them for coming on and sharing their music with us. Make sure to head over to www.therockmetalpodcast.ca to get all the information on the show you just heard today. And until then, rock on, Rock Metal Nation.
Rock Metal Nation!